Every app on your phone, every website you visit, the banking system, your social media, even the AI tools everyone's talking about, most of it is built on something that's completely free. Free to use, free to modify, free to share. It's called open source, and it's running the world right now. But most people have never heard of it. So today, we're going to change that. I'm going to break down what open source actually means, why billion-dollar companies are giving away their best technology for free, and I'm going to show you real projects from AI agents to payment protocols, even healthcare industry that are reshaping everything from how we code to how we pay for things and even how we measure our weight. Open source equals the recipe is public. All right, so anyone can see it, use it, improve it, and share it. All right, a closed source is you get the meal, but the recipe is locked in a vault, right? It's like having a paywall, where say if you were online and you're searching for a recipe, and instead of the recipe being open, or you're on YouTube or Instagram, and instead of somebody giving you the recipe, they're like, hey, you need to purchase my book. Right? That's kind of closed source. But if you go online and you like, let me look up this recipe, right? Or you go on YouTube, the person may have the recipe in their description, or even on the website, they may have the recipe just right there, right? That's kind of like open source. They're similar in that, where one is closed, where it's not going to give you the direct recipe, it's just going to show you what it is, versus open source is where the recipe is open. You can configure it to your liking, change the measurements, do all of those things. All right. Now, what does source code actually mean? Source code is the instructions that make software work, the human readable blueprint. Okay, when it's open, anyone can read it, audit it, and verify what the software actually does. When it's closed, you're trusting the company to be honest about what their code does. So Android, these are some examples, right, that we use already every single day. Android is open source versus iOS for Apple is closed. All right. Android, when you're on the Android phone, you can go straight into your files, you can download things, you can reconfigure and just do all types of things. Whereas Apple, it's like, this is what you get. We're controlling this system, and it's just going to be that way, right? Firefox, Mozilla, that's a browser, and Chromium, they're open source, whereas Safari is partially closed. Okay, WordPress, which powers 43% of all websites. Okay, anytime somebody is about to have a website built, more than likely, like this saying, 43% of it is WordPress. Okay, even when people just first started creating blogs, WordPress was the platform that everybody started creating blogs from, and it's open source, right? And Linux runs most of the internet servers, most cloud infrastructure, and most of the world's supercomputers, and that's open source. All right, so with our API framework tied in, which is authenticity, purpose, and innovation, the authenticity about this is open source is the ultimate transparency. You can verify the code yourself. The purpose of it is to solve problems collaboratively, not to maximize one company's revenue. The innovation in it, the world's fastest innovation happens in open source because thousands of people contribute instead of just one team. So let's get into some important parts, right? The MIT license, which is like the handshake behind it all. So why does this matter for everyday people? Well, most major open source projects use the MIT license. It originated at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, in the 1980s. It's one of the simplest legal documents in software. Essentially, it's saying use this however you want, modify it, sell it, share it, Just keep the original credit and don't sue us if something breaks. All right. Now, what the MIT license allows use in commercial products, like basically companies make billions off of MIT license code, like literally, we'll just say Instagram, Facebook, most of social media is based off of MIT licensed open source software. And then what they do is they put that you're able to again modify, sell it, do whatever you need. So you modify it for your own company. You create your own code on top of it, your own protocols and things. And next thing you know, it's kind of closed in a way because it's like your own unique offering that you're putting out, but it's still based on the open source protocol or that MIT license. You can modify and redistribute it freely, and sub-license, meaning you can wrap it in your own product, which is basically what I just explained. Now, what it does not require, you do not have to open source your own modifications. You do not have to pay anything, and you do not have to get permission. Most open source code or softwares or protocols usually are either created by big companies or they're created by smaller, just individual projects, and they just ask for donations so that they can continue to work on creating what it is that they're doing. So the MIT license is used in roughly 1/3 of all open source projects on GitHub. GitHub is like this really big, we're just going to say, I'm going to use the word repository, like this really big website where all coding developers, companies basically place their projects or the code for their projects or their websites and deploy it there, so that way they can have it somewhere safe, whether it's in the cloud or whether it's local. But it's kind of like where it syncs between what they're building and then what's available for someone else to view as a team, and so and so. So that's just kind of like a quick overview. That's not all of it, but it's basically a place where if you're working on a coding project, you'll want to sync with GitHub so that way your repository can show online. And if you want to show someone your project, you do it through your GitHub. All right. So it drew over 1 million unique visitors to the Open Source Initiatives page in 2024 alone. So why does this matter to you? Every time you use an app, chances are pieces of it are built on MIT licensed code. The phone in your hand is running the open source code right now. Other licenses to mention briefly are Apache 2.0 and GPL, right? So the only thing with that is any modifications must also be open source. And this is what Linux uses. So the open source AI explosion, right? Or bubble. But now here's where things get really interesting, because the biggest shift in open source right now is happening in artificial intelligence. Okay? So I'm going to go through a brief list of some open source projects. You may or may not be familiar with them. If you're not, that's kind of the point of this video, is just to get you familiar with what this is, what it's about. If you're looking to create something, or even if you have a website and you just like, well, I hear my developer talking about all this stuff, but I have no idea what it is, then this is the right video for you, because now you can kind of refer to some things or just get some keywords out the way. All right. So Goose is made by Block or Square Cash App. That's the same company. Block is the same company that owns Square and Cash App. So Goose is an open source AI agent from Block, the company behind Square, Cash App, and Afterpay. It's not just a chatbot. It executes tasks autonomously. It writes code, runs tests, installs software, handles workflows. Why it matters? 60% of Block's employees use Goose weekly, and they report saving 8 to 10 hours per week on developmental tasks. And Block CTO said the goal is saving 25% of manual hours across the company. So this is like an AI agent tool that they're using to increase their productivity and just the tasks that would normally take forever. The bigger picture is it was released under Apache 2.0 license, which is which is an open source software, and it has 35,000 GitHub stars. It works with any large language model, so it's not locked to one provider. It can use Anthropic's MCP, or what they call a model context protocol, to connect to any tool or service. And when I say it's not locked to one provider, it's not just designated for OpenAI. It's not just designated for, one platform. You can pretty much plug in whatever type of large language model you would like. Claude, ChatGPT, Codex, okay? Now we have OpenClaw. So this is the fastest growing open source project in GitHub history. It has 280,000 stars in under 4 months, surpassed React, which took 10 years. And React is like another program that helps you create apps, websites, things like that. And it was created by one Austrian developer, Peter Steinberg, in November 2025. So what does it do? An AI agent. OpenClaw is an AI agent that runs locally on your machine. So you talk to it through apps you already use like WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack. It doesn't just answer questions. It takes action, sends emails, manages files, browses the web, automates workflows. Literally, you're able to just give it a whole rundown. If you've already prepared something for it, and literally it's supposed to work autonomous for you 24/7, right? Without you having to intervene or do anything. But the thing is, you will find yourself coming back to it and just kind of checking in and seeing what's going on, or answering questions or making changes, things like that. So NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang called it probably the single most important release of software probably ever. And this was at the Morgan Stanley TMT conference in March 2026 this year. All right, so the controversy dealing with OpenClaw is that security researchers eventually start finding like vulnerabilities. China restricted government agencies from using it, and Cisco flagged potential data exfiltration in third-party plugins. So the trade-off with open source power and risk kind of go together. When you're using open source projects, then what it does is it also attracts other people to create what they call plugins or other third-party apps that connect directly to this thing to help other people kind of use it without having to go through all that coding lingo, pretty much like all the stuff that we're talking about. And so what happens is you may end up using it on the website app builder, or the thing that helps you deploy your app to the app store, or in Canvas some type of way without even knowing that you're using it, and other platforms as well. But what happens is some of these people are just like kind of creating things, and the vulnerabilities is that when you're using it yourself, you're using it locally. So during this time, a lot of people were buying Mac Minis, which are these like small devices that Apple created. They're kind of like little small servers or whatnot, hardwares. And you can literally use it, just plug in the screen and use it as though you're using a desktop computer. And so the OpenClaw is pretty much installed on there and running. You do it yourself or have someone do it for you. And it can pretty much run on that, separate from like all of your personal stuff. So basically you're having like 2 computers, one for your agent and then your regular laptop or home computer. And so the vulnerability, if you ran it on your own personal computer, is that you would be exposing a lot of your information, to this agent that can literally go haywire or something. And then next thing you know, all your stuff is online, or, you may have connected to the wrong thing, and It's just kind of up in the air. So those are things to look out for when you're using open source projects, and or even just dealing with agents in general, right? So this is what an AI agent looks like. It's not a chatbot that you go to. It's an assistant that lives on your devices and works while you sleep. So the next one is Hermes Agent by Noose Research. Now, Hermes is actually like the next top tier of OpenClaw that a lot of people are kind of appreciating even more or talking about even more. It's an open source AI agent that learns and gets better over time. This one was released February 2026. It's also MIT licensed. It has 22,000 GitHub stars. And what makes it different? What makes it different is that most AI tools forget everything between conversations, and you always have to come back and kind of repeat yourself over and over again. Hermes remembers. It builds skills from experience, stores what it learns, and applies it to future tasks. So the more you use it, the better it gets. Now, how it works, you can run it on your own server. You can run it literally like on one of those Mac Mini things. You can run it on a virtual private server in the cloud. So literally like WordPress or Hostinger, anywhere that hosts websites, HostGator, any of those type of things, they have virtual private servers. And so you can literally rent one of those and just like run it through that system and set things up. And now they have it where they have one-click installs to assist you in setting up these different agents, even OpenClaw too. So it connects to Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Signal. It uses any AI model, OpenAI, Anthropic, which is ChatGPT, Claude, or any free local models through Olama. All right. And imagine an assistant that doesn't just help you once. It builds a profile of how you work, and it gets smart about helping you over time. That's Hermes Agent. Paperclip is basically an open source platform for running entire companies with AI agents alone, just solely AI agents as the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, the supervisor, the manager, the distribution, supply chain person, your HR person. Like they're actually hiring and firing each other, right? And collaborating and working with each other as agents. So, let's see, it was launched March 2026 with 42,000 GitHub stars. The concept behind this is if OpenClaw is the employee, Paperclip is the company. It gives AI agents organizational charts, SOPs, job titles, budgets, task tracking, and audit logs. One team built a content company with 14 AI agents on day one. So why does this matter? This is the zero human company concept, not replacing humans necessarily, but showing what's possible when AI agents coordinate like a team. This is where open source AI is heading. Not just single tools, but entire systems of AI workers coordinated by software anyone can download and run. And literally anyone. This is not just for developers. This is not just for, someone that understands code. Like if you really want to create something, the tools are here for you to either work with someone or hire someone or just type the idea into one of the, into Claude or ChatGPT, whichever is your liking, and then come up with the entire game plan and tools for what you would use. And then do your own research, right? Now, the other part of this too is I know a lot of people like, oh, a whole AI agent company? What kind of stuff is that? But what I would say is that it's not necessarily that, a company is like, we're trying to get it down to the bottom line to where we don't have to need nobody. I mean, some companies probably are. They're trying to find ways to run more efficient and not have to spend so much money and probably possibly pay people to do things that they pretending they doing. Y'all know how it is at work. Not really, but I'm just saying, let's just be real. And so mainly with this one, it's like, for me, it's not that there should be a fear of like what's possible, right? Because really what's happening is like a fear of also opportunity, right? What are all those ideas that you've always wanted to create? But let's just say this is an open source platform. Let's just say you can't hire a bunch of people. So you need a new skill. Your new skill is, how do I create agents? How do I give these agents these MDs? Because now agents have medical degrees and master degrees before us, okay? Before a lot of people. Every agent has a .md, okay? That's a little humor. But basically, if you're out here trying to figure something out and how to create what you have in your mind, your vision, then this is a way to do that until you get to a certain point, right? And it's also just something to explore as a project. Like, let me see what it would be like to run this type of company with agents, right? That's how we end up coming up with, great ideas sometimes. Or you could decide, yeah, this is not for me, right? But regardless, these agents aren't putting you out of work if you know how to actually create on the back end and use them to do the work or to do certain things. It's actually leverage, right? It's a lot of things that we actually shouldn't be doing over and over again that we, have in our mind that we could be freeing up space to do other things with. It's like having a computer and all of your space is filled with photos. But when it's really time to get to work, guess what? You don't have room to do what you need to do. Why? Because your computer is filled with photos. So now you got to go through, you got to open up, the app that helps you delete things off of your computer, all those gigabytes, clear out your cache, do all this extra stuff, and then you get to work, right? Whereas if you have some agents, you wouldn't even have to do that because they already working. Matter of fact, they did what you were supposed to do 5 times already, okay? So they sent that email twice today. Got an answer, got a deal. They closed the deal, and now all you have to do is show up on the Calendly link, the Zoom video call, and talk to the person, okay? So it's just things like that you can think of, right? So let's keep it moving. So the big tech open source play about this is we have Meta, which has Llama. Okay, Llama is the kind of like the Chat GPT of what they use in Instagram and Facebook. When they let you create a bot, or you want to create an image, or you typing in questions. They even use it on the back end for the Meta glasses or whatnot. So Meta Llama has 1.2 billion downloads. It's the most adopted open AI model on the planet. And Llama 4 just launched in 2025 with models that handle text, image, and video in 200 plus languages. It's free to use, but reports say that Meta is now working on a closed source model called Avocado that will not be open. So you know how that goes. It's not to not be expected, but it's just the fact that they did create something that is open and people can integrate it into their own products however they want. NVIDIA, this is kind of one of my favorite ones. NVIDIA has an open source model or framework called Monai, MONAI, Medical Open Network for AI. And it's an open source framework for medical imaging and being used for MRI reconstruction, CT scans, chest x-rays. 11 open models covering surgical video, CT, MRI, X-ray, and ultrasound. Apache 2.0 licensed the source code, and also they released something called NemoClaw, which is basically like enterprise security for OpenClaw deployments. So instead of you using OpenClaw so freely and wheelie and being vulnerable to security flaws or those vulnerabilities that we talked about before, NVIDIA created NemoClaw so that enterprises, big companies, don't have to run the risk of being vulnerable, and they can do it in a secure environment to deploy OpenClaw. That's pretty much all that is. Google, they have open source models called Gemma, TensorFlow, Android, and massive open source contributions. And then also DeepSeek, which is a Chinese lab that built frontier level AI models at a fraction of the cost of Western labs like OpenAI and Anthropic. So they open sourced the results, and that basically changed the game because they were saying, hey, while y'all telling these people y'all need billions and billions and billions to do what y'all doing, we're over here doing it at a fraction of the cost. Y'all spent billions. We spent 100,000, right? Like, is that a flex? Because for some reason, spending a lot of money is a flex. But over in China, like, which is the point of, now this might, kind of be a segue, but that's the point of China being China, because where you would spend a whole bunch of money, doing something somewhere else, depending on, what you're looking to do, you can go to China and you're going to get it for a fraction of the cost. So that's pretty much what this Chinese lab showed with DeepSeek, is that they didn't need $1 billion. They just they just only spent 100,000 in tokens, and it runs just as well, or if not better, than OpenAI or ChatGPT. So we have open source in crypto and blockchain, and we're just going to run through this right fast. So now, if you've been watching this channel, I talk about crypto and blockchain, and here's the thing most people don't realize. The entire crypto space was born from open source. Okay, so Bitcoin alone is the original open source revolution. Bitcoin's source code has been open since day one, since 2009. Anyone can read it, verify it, and audit it. This is literally why people trust it, not because of a company's promise, but because the code is public and verifiable. Bitcoin runs on thousands of independent nodes around the world, all running the same open source software. And these nodes are run by people all over the world, right? Independent people, regular people, whether they're mining or they have a node, but it's literally, that's the kind of the point of the decentralization mindset, is that it's not just one person, so it can't just be taken down from this corporation, right? It's like people all over the world in all countries. All right. And then there's no CEO, there's no board of directors, there's no company, just code and consensus. All right. And then we also have Nostr, which is an open source social media protocol. And there are a few others as well, but Nostr stands for Notes and Other Stuff Transmitted by Relays. It's an open source protocol for decentralized social media. No single company owns it. Your identity is a cryptographic key pair. Your content can move freely between different apps. So if one app censors you, your data still exists on other relays. So let's just say you're on Instagram. You have social media everywhere, right? And for some reason, like a lot of people, you're always hearing somebody saying how Instagram shut their account down or flagged them or banned them for 3 weeks or something. And so with Nostr, let's just say relays are pretty much the way that you appear on different networks. So let's say you have your own relay, and you in your own keys. So basically, whatever you post, if people are on your relay, they're going to always see your post, no matter if Instagram shuts you down or not. Instagram has its own relay, and sometimes you relay your information to Instagram from your relay. But if Instagram decides, hey, not today, we don't want you on the platform, then, and that's shut down, then you still have access to like all the other platforms that you relay your information to, that you send your notes and other stuff to, but you have your own. So literally, people can literally just come to you, and you can also have other people post on your relay as well. So hopefully that's easy to understand, but if not right now, we'll get into it further in other videos. So basically, even Snowden called Nostr an open protocol. And basically, if a platform is a silo, a protocol is a river. No one owns it and everyone is free to swim. So think of Nostr as what social media should have been from the beginning. You own your account, you own your data, you own your followers. No algorithm deciding what you see. And that's the other thing too. Even though on Instagram, they may shut your account down and it's like, oh man, I don't even have, I got to start my followers back over, how I'm going to talk to my people. No, your people are with you. So when you leave, they leave with you, right? Unless people decide they don't want to be on your relay anymore. So that's the concept. All right. And then we also have what is called X402, which is the internet's payment layer that just launched. So X402 is an open standard for internet native payments built on the dormant HTTP 402, which is payment required status code that's been sitting unused since 1995. Now, this is also similar to the 404 status code that you get when you reach a website that doesn't exist, or a page that doesn't exist, or a page cannot be found, things like that. But what happened is a bunch of companies came in and decided, hey, well, actually, it was created by Coinbase. And so now they contributed to the Linux Foundation, and now they have founding members, including Stripe, Cloudflare, Amazon Web Services, Google, Microsoft, Visa, MasterCard, and they're all, even Shopify, and they're all contributing to this X402 payment layer, because it's actually going to be what allows websites, APIs, and AI agents to negotiate and settle payments directly over the web without a person interacting. So let's say in ChatGPT, you're doing that chatbot shopping, right? You type in, I need a sweater for today. And it brings up all the sweaters, and it's like, okay, while it's doing all that back end stuff, it's going over this payment layer, X402, and it's paying to kind of access different things, different sites, different websites, to pull all this information in, things that you normally would not know is going on. And then not only that, but even making the payment, if you decide to make a payment, this is also that layer that the agents are going to use to make that payment as well for you. So that's just something to think about. An AI agent can hit a paywall, read the price, and pay automatically with stablecoins. So no human intervention. And it'll either be stablecoins or Bitcoin. And why does this matter? This could be the infrastructure that makes micropayments actually work. So sub-cent transactions, transaction fees, near instant settlement, machine-to-machine commerce becomes possible. So this is like a whole nother avenue of things. All right. And just remember, when you couldn't send money through a text message, okay? Now Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and now X402 is trying to do that for the entire internet. And it's open source, so no one company controls it. So if you want to find out, well, how can I create? You want to have a pinky in the brain moment. And like, how can I remember that idea I had? This could be the protocol that you would use to implement that. Or if you heard someone have an idea, anything is possible right now. So that's the other side of it too. And then also, just with the blockchain in general, almost everything in crypto is open source by design. The transparency is the trust mechanism. The only reason why the blockchain would not be open source is because of exchanges and proprietary trading platforms are closed source, right? Which kind of goes against the original ethos. But again, if we think about what they were saying previously about open source, where anybody can monetize it, then this is that. So the blockchain is pretty much open and available. Smart contracts on Ethereum are publicly verifiable DeFi protocols. They publish their code for anyone to audit. And this is fundamentally different from traditional finance, where algorithms and systems are all hidden. So, yeah, that's pretty much quite clear. You're not going to see the back end of your bank. No, you will never see that. They will never show you. All right, so why this matters to you right now? So, why am I telling you all of this? Because this isn't just tech news. This is a shift in how the world works and how we can kind of actually, again, open source being collaborative, how we can actually work together, work on things, or how you can contribute to, any of these possibilities. And even what you can create as well. You can create something that's open source using the MIT license. All right? So 3 reasons everyday people should care. You're already using open source. You just didn't know it. Okay? Your phone, your browser, your website you visit, the apps you use, all built on open source foundations. Understanding this, you have a more accurate picture of how technology actually works. The tools are free and getting more powerful every day. So AI agents like Goose, OpenClaw, Hermes are free to download and use. The barrier to building things with technology has never been lower, and you don't need to be a programmer. Many of these tools are designed for non-technical people. But, pause, I would still say it's helpful to know a few things. But yes, most of them are built for non-technical people, but it's helpful to know a few things. And you can learn that on the fly, all right? You can actually learn that as you go, as you build. Open source is the foundation of trust in the world of AI. As AI gets more powerful, the question becomes who controls it? Open source means anyone can audit what the AI is actually doing. Closed source means you're trusting the corporation's word. In 2026, with proof of human concerns rising and AI-generated content, or what they call slop, everywhere, transparency isn't optional. It's the standard people are demanding. Okay? So basically, the framework around this is open source is verifiable truth. The code doesn't lie. It's built for collaboration, not control, solving problems, not creating dependencies. And the fastest moving projects in AI, crypto, and social media right now are all open source. And that's not a coincidence. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one of the projects I mentioned today and go look it up. Go to the GitHub page, read about it. You don't have to understand every line of code. But just knowing that these tools exist and that they're free puts you ahead of most people. If you learned something today, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe, turn on your notifications. If you want to keep learning about what's really happening around the world and how we're connected to these things and how we can connect to them, or just in general, then definitely make sure you stay tuned. And until then, this is API Well Covered. I am Allison Jones, and I'll see you soon. Peace.